Good morning, students. In the last class, we discussed about in-channel signaling. In this, we have gone through different signal standards specified by CCITT, such as SS1, SS2, SS3, SS4, SS5, and SS5 bis. Out of these signal standards, these three are older ones, which uses only one single frequencies for signaling, whereas these three are using compound frequencies, that is two frequencies for signalings. The difference between SS4 and SS5 is, in SS4 there is no separate inter-register signaling, whereas SS5 and SS5 bis uses 2 out of 6 multi-frequency signaling for inter-register signaling. Okay, and also we come across the SS4 and SS5 signaling patterns in the previous class. Okay, now in this class we will discuss about the next topic, that is common channel signaling. Okay, so what is the difference between in-channel and common channel? In the in-channel signaling, you use only one channel for both signaling as well as speech. Okay, and coming to the common channel, it uses one channel for speech and one channel for signaling. That is the difference between in-channel and common channel signaling. Now you see the structure of common channel signaling. So in case of common channel signaling, it uses separate channels for speech and signaling. And another one is, it uses a dedicated channel for signaling that supports groups of circuits. Generally, with the help of these channels, it can able to support signalings for 1500 to 2000 speech circuits. Okay, and one more thing is, this common channel signaling uses store and forward concepts. Store and forward network. Okay. And one more important point here is, here in common channel signaling, we are going to transfer the information in the form of messages. Therefore, we will come across different message formats for different types of common channel signalings. Similar to the in-channel, here we will discuss two types of signaling systems, SS6 and SS7. Okay, these are the two different types of signaling systems for common channel signaling specified by CCITT. Okay, like in channel we studied SS1, SS2, SS3, SS4, SS5. Here in common channel we will study about SS6 and SS7. And this is the basic structure of the common channel signaling. So here we are using a separate channel for speech. So this is for speech. And here, since you can able to transmit, so two things are possible in this case. With the help of this channel, that is for signaling, you can transmit both data as well as signaling information. Okay. Generally, we can transmit with the help of analog channels, analog links. We can able to transmit signaling. But for data transmission, okay, you cannot use these analog signaling, analog links. So in this case, here to utilize the same analog channel links for data, we are using some modulators. Okay, and this is nothing but your common channel systems. In this is the channel for signaling. We are using the same channel for data as well as. So for that, we have to use some modulators to convert the analog to digital, so that we can able to easily transmit the data as well with the help of this common channel signaling. Here we are using some dedicated wires or links, analog wires for speech transmission. So these speech circuits depends upon your the capabilities. So the last topic we seen that it can supports 1500 to 2000 speech circuits. Okay, can be handled by this signaling system. And already we seen that it supports messaging formats. So to transfer the information, it uses the message formats. Here we call it as signaling unit. Okay, so the signaling unit is having some fixed length. Okay, so there are two types of signal units, SUM and MUM. SUM stands for single signaling unit, or called a single message unit or single unit message, and MUM stands for multi-unit message, MUM. Now the formats of SUM and MUM are like this. In SUM, it contains 4 fields. One is called header, another one is called signal information, and third one is circuit label, and fourth one is error check. So the size of this SUM is 24 bits. The size of this SUM is 24 bits. So the size of the header is 5 bits. Okay, and we seen this pattern here. Out of these 28, it's not 24, it is 28 bit. Sorry. So out of these 28 bits, it dedicates 5 bits for header, 4 bits for signaling, and 11 bits for circuit labels. Okay, and remaining last 8 bits are used for check bits. That's nothing but your error check. Okay, and coming to the MUM, it contains 4 levels, so 3 levels, in which first level is same as that of your SUM. We observe MUM and SUM are having same fields: header, signal information, circuit label, and error check. So in all these message formats, the last 8 bits are dedicated for error checking. Okay, and coming to the next level, it contains subheader and length and other signals as the subparts. Now you can see those configuration also. 2 bits for subheader and 2 bits for length field, and 16 bits is for additional signal information. So this is a pattern they are going to follow for these fields in MUM. Next 2 levels. First level is same as that of SUM. Okay. In case of SS6, okay, it uses totally 12 SUs. It uses totally 12 SUs. That SUs may be an SUM or MUM. Okay, it is totally uses 12 SUs. Out of these 12 SUs, it is going to use the 12th SU for synchronization. Okay. So here it contains 12 blocks. The last SU being an acknowledgement unit. So not these are acknowledgement units. So this is about the SS6 signaling system standard for common channel signaling. Okay. So once again I'll brief it. Generally this SS common channel signaling uses it is going to transfer the information in the form of messages, message formats. Okay. So the message formats of these SUs are SVM and MEM, and each contains some fields such as header fields, serial information, circuit labels, and error check. Similarly, in case of MEM, it contains multiple use serial units. Here 3 units are there here. So in case of SS6, it uses totally 12 SUs. Out of this last one, 12th one is used for acknowledgement purpose. Okay, this is about the signaling system format for SS6. Okay, now we'll see SS7. This SS7 is implemented while keeping the implementation of ISDN into consideration. Okay. Generally, this SS7 is implemented by considering the requirements of ISDN. So, with the help of SS7, it is going to provide, okay, some extra functionalities, okay, to this ISDN. So, first it defined in 1980 and it is revised in 1984 and 1988. It is used for digital circuit switch networks. This SS7 is mainly designed for digital circuit switch networks. Therefore, packet switching is possible with the help of this SS7. And the function of SS7 are defined assuming packet switching operations. Okay. So in the previous case, if I am going to use the analog link, okay, it supports both analog links and digital links. SS7. For example, if you use analog links in SS7, then it is going to have a bit rate less than 64 kbps. So it is not at all fully utilizing the bit rate. Whereas if you use the digital links, in that case, it is fully utilizing the all 64 kbps digital channel. Okay. Therefore, this SS7 will support both analog links and digital links. But if you utilize digital links, then it is going to utilize the maximum bit rates. And this is the architecture of SS7. If you see here, it contains totally 4 levels are there. Level 1, level 2, level 3 and level 4. The first three levels are combinedly called together as MTP, message transfer points. Okay. Now we'll discuss these levels in detail one by one. First, coming to signaling data link. So first layer is signaling data link. So this link is concerned with the electrical and physical properties of the signaling link. It mainly concerns with the physical and electrical characteristics of these signaling links. And also, it is going to say the characteristics of these signal links in between STPs or in between STP and SP. What STP stands for? STP stands for signal transfer points and SP stands for switching points. Okay. So all these signal links in SS7 are fully duplex. Okay. So this is about the first layer of SS7. It contains it is mainly used to characterize your physical and electrical characteristics of signal links that are in between the STPs or in between STP to SPC. And one more point here is all the signaling data links used in the SS7 are fully duplex. And the next layer is signaling link. So generally the main use of signaling is to convert the potentially unreliable physical link into a reliable data link. Okay, the main purpose of signaling link is to turn a potentially unreliable physical link to a reliable data link. Okay, that's the first thing. So to perform these operations, it has to do something. These serial links layers must ensure, it has to ensure some points. The first point is there are no loss or duplication of these control messages. This is the first point you have to keep in mind, that there are no losses or duplication of these control messages. Okay. The next one is messages are delivered in the same order in which they are originated. Messages are delivered in the same order in which they are originated. So these 2 points should be satisfied for the serial links. Okay. So in these things, there are 3 types of SUs are there. Like SUs in SS6, here also we have some SUs, serial link units. First one is called as MSU, message signal unit, and LSSU, link status signal unit, and FISU, fill in signal unit. Okay, so based upon the LI, it also contains some frames in which it contains some LI, length indicator. So based upon length indicator values, it is going to use either MSU or LSU or FISU. We will see the detail in the upcoming topic. So one more thing here is, this is the structure of SS7 signal units, MSU, LSSU and FISU. Okay, so if you observe here, in all these signal units, the first 8 bits and the last 8 bits are flag bits. Okay, the first 8 bits and last 8 bits are flag bits. Generally, to discriminate between the SUs, we are placing these flag bits. The flag bits should contain these following bits: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, starting with 0 and 6 ones, ending with 0. Therefore, the size of this flag bit is 8 bits. Okay, so all the MSUs have to start with these flag bits and end with the flag bits, so that we can able to discriminate the SUs easily. So for discrimination purpose, we are adding these flag bits. And the next one is control bits, and next one is SCR. SCR stands for Service Information Field, and SIF. SIF stands for Signaling Information Field, and CRC for Cyclic Redundance Check, which is of 16 bit. It is used for checking the errors. Okay, so if you take this control bit separately, total contains 24 bits. So this is structure of this file. It contains totally 6 different fields in the control field. So BSN, BI, FSN, FI, LI and U. So U means unused bits. BSN stands for backward sequence number, and BA stands for backward indicator. FSN stands for forward sequence number, and FI stands for forward indicator. So now we'll see what is this BSN BA stands for. Useful. This BSN and BA together combinedly are useful for acknowledging. So BSN BA together permit the piggybacked acknowledgement of the SUs received from the other side. For example, it is not received. That message is not received. In that case, it is going to set this BI to 0. Okay. A negative acknowledgement is indicated by inverting this BI bit. So previously it is 1, now it becomes 0. That indicates what? The message is not yet received. So to get the message received, you have to send it back. The message must be send it back. So for that, we are going to use this F5. Here are using a 7-bit FSN, nothing but it uses a 128 counter for checking all the messages. So based upon that, it is going to, if any packet is not received, in that case, with the help of this FS and FI, it is going to retransmit that packet. Based on acknowledgement, until it acknowledges, it keep on sending the same packet. Coming to LI, it contains totally 6 bits, therefore, so 0 to 63. Okay, if this LI contains 0, then it is going to use MSU type of SU. If it contains 1, it is going to use LSSU type of message. If it contains 2 to 63, then it is going to use this FISU type of message. Okay, so this is about different signaling units of SS7. Okay, so far we covered about the 2 levels, 1 and 2. And what is the third one? Signaling network. This is used for routing, distribution. So this level 3 is called as a signaling network layer. It involves in discriminating, routing and distribution of messages. This particular level is going to perform discriminations, routing and distribution of messages. So, and level 4 is signaling connection control part, SCP. This is mainly used to provide enhanced services of discrimination, routing and distribution of messages. So with the help of this, you can be able to provide more number of enhanced services. Okay, so it uses to enhance the limited routing, distribution and addressing capabilities. So along with these 4, we have seen few more blocks here in the diagram, that is TUP and ISUP. So this TUP is going to look at the functionalities of telephone set at subscriber. That means to get the dial tone, ring tone, busy tones. So regarding any information of our telephone set, this TUP will take care of. What about ISUP? So this is going to take care of ISDN calls. Okay. So along with this, we have one more thing, that is OAM. So everyone know about OAM, operation, administration, maintenance. So this is going to look at all these services for the signaling systems. So this NTP along with the SCP is called as NSP, Network Service Point. Okay. So this is about the architecture of SS7, which is in common channel signaling. Okay. So this is about the common channel signaling, which uses SS6 and SS7 type of signaling standards, which are specified by CCI TT. In the next class, we will discuss the remaining topics. Thank you.